silence can be louder than words, especially when it comes from someone who used to care. When she stops arguing, stops explaining, and stops chasing, something inside you starts to panic. You scroll through old messages, replay conversations in your head, and ask yourself, what changed? But here's a truth straight from Stoic psychology. When she goes silent, it's not always about you. Sometimes, silence is a sign of strength, not surrender. Before we dive into the real reason behind this silence, make sure to like the video and subscribe, because on this channel, we don't just talk about emotions, we learn how to master them. Number 1. Silence, the language of self-control. When someone withdraws, especially in moments of conflict, it feels like emotional abandonment. You crave answers, closure, or at least a reaction. But in Stoicism, silence isn't weakness, it's power under control. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You always own the option of having no opinion." In other words, silence is the highest form of discipline in a world addicted to reaction. When she goes silent, it's often because she's done arguing for her worth. She's tired of repeating what should have been obvious. Her silence is her final form of communication. It's peace disguised as distance. She doesn't want to fight anymore, not because she's given up, but because she's grown up. The Stoics believed that speaking less keeps you in control of your emotions. And in relationships, silence becomes a mirror. It shows who can handle self-reflection and who collapses without constant reassurance. Her silence forces you to confront your noise, the chaos inside you that depends on her validation. And if you think about it, silence is funny in a dark way. It's like the Wi-Fi going out. You suddenly start panicking, checking every corner, realizing how dependent you've become. That's what emotional silence does. It exposes your dependence on noise for comfort. So next time she goes silent, don't see it as punishment. See it as a masterclass in emotional restraint. The Stoics didn't preach silence for the sake of mystery. They practiced it to preserve peace. And maybe she's doing the same. Number 2, detachment, the Stoic art of emotional withdrawal. One of the biggest mistakes people make is thinking silence equals absence of emotion. No, it's the containment of emotion. It's choosing to step back rather than explode. When a Stoic withdraws, they're not avoiding the storm. They're letting the storm pass without being swept away by it. When she goes silent, she's likely not trying to manipulate you. She's trying to protect her peace. You see, in Stoic terms, this is the art of apatheia, emotional balance. It doesn't mean she feels nothing. It means she refuses to let feelings control her. Maybe you've noticed that before she went silent, she tried to explain, to fix, to reason. But when her words became meaningless, she switched to silence. Because silence is something even pride can't argue with. It's the sound of letting go. And yes, silence can be funny. It's like when you're arguing with someone and they suddenly say, "You know what? Do whatever you want." That's not peace. That's the sound of someone emotionally clocking out. Stoics would call this detachment a form of freedom. Her silence isn't revenge, it's a declaration. It says, "My peace is more valuable than being understood." That's Stoic wisdom in action. When emotions rise, the wise retreat, not out of fear, but out of mastery. Number 3, silence as a mirror, what it reveals about you. Here's something hard to swallow. Silence often reveals who you truly are. Because in the absence of her voice, you start hearing your own. Her silence forces you to sit with your insecurities, your guilt, and your habits. That's why it hurts. It's not her silence that stings. It's your reflection inside it. Stoic philosophy teaches that discomfort is a teacher, and silence is one of its sharpest lessons. It shows you how much control your emotions truly have over you. You start realizing that maybe you didn't love her presence as much as you feared her absence. Her silence becomes a mirror for your own attachment. You see how dependent you've become on external validation. You see how much you've tied your peace to her attention. And as uncomfortable as it feels, this realization is your ticket to growth. Humor helps here too, because we've all done it. staring at the phone like it owes us an explanation, thinking maybe if we blink twice, the message will magically appear. Stoics would laugh at this. They'd say, "You're waiting for someone else to give you the peace you can only find within." So the next time you're faced with silence, treat it as an invitation, not an insult. An invitation to grow, to detach, and to become emotionally self-sufficient. Silence doesn't reject you. It reflects you. Number 4, silence as power, the end of emotional begging. Silence becomes the final act of self-respect when someone realizes that energy must be protected. In Stoicism, this is called retaining your virtue. She goes silent because she refuses to argue for something that should have been recognized. At first, you might see her silence as cruel, but deep down, you know it's deserved. She's not trying to make you chase. She's teaching you that peace cannot coexist with chaos. In a way, her silence is the most honest feedback you'll ever get. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." That applies here. Her silence isn't a challenge to decode. It's a reminder to become someone who doesn't require her suffering to learn self-awareness. And let's be real, silence can be the ultimate mic drop. No words, no reaction, no drama. Just peace. The kind that confuses people who thrive on attention. Stoicism teaches that silence is the best revenge because it leaves others alone with their conscience. So if she's gone silent, understand this. She's not punishing you. She's preserving her dignity. And if you ever want to meet her again, it won't be through words. It'll be through your growth. Number 5, the Stoic takeaway, finding freedom in silence. At the end of the day, silence isn't about her. It's about you. It's about learning how to exist without constant reassurance. Stoicism teaches us that the wise find peace within themselves. If someone's silence destroys your peace, that's where your work begins. The real reason she goes silent is because she's learned that peace speaks louder than pain. She's not playing games. She's protecting her soul. And if you want to live like a Stoic, you must learn to do the same, to withdraw, not to punish, but to preserve. Silence is strength disguised as distance. It's the voice of someone who finally understands that not every reaction deserves a response. Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Her silence proves she's becoming free. And maybe that's the lesson for you too. To stop chasing closure and noise and start finding clarity in quiet. When you learn to be at peace with silence, you'll realize you've been looking for answers in others when the answer was always in you. And hey, if you're still tempted to double text, take a breath. The Stoics would tell you, the silence you can't stand is the silence you need the most. Number 6, when silence is self-respect, not rejection. It's easy to mistake silence for rejection, especially when you're used to attention. But Stoicism teaches that the greatest act of love toward oneself is to step back when peace is being stolen. Her silence isn't an attack, it's a boundary, a quiet shield against chaos. Seneca once said, "He who is brave is free," and freedom often begins with silence. She isn't punishing you. She's protecting herself from the noise of constant explanations, from having to justify what she feels, from trying to fix what's not hers to fix. Silence becomes her sanctuary. Sometimes she's not angry. She's just exhausted from overthinking, overgiving, and overexplaining. Her silence says, "I don't need to prove my worth anymore." And that's the moment you realize it's not that she stopped caring. It's that she started caring for herself. Humor finds its way even here. Think about it. Arguing with a calm person is like trying to fight a mirror. You punch, but all you get back is your own reflection. That's what her silence does. It bounces your energy right back to you. So when she goes silent, don't rush to fill the space. Respect it, because in that silence, she's not disappearing. She's rediscovering her dignity. Number 7, the Stoic strategy, choosing stillness over reaction. In Stoicism, emotional stillness is a strategy. The Stoics believe that reacting is easy, responding is power. When she goes silent, she's not confused, she's composed. She's doing what Marcus Aurelius did when surrounded by chaos, choosing stillness over noise. We live in a world where everyone feels entitled to a reaction. Ghosting, ignoring, blocking, they all trigger panic because silence forces self-reflection. But in Stoic psychology, that discomfort is medicine. It's meant to expose your emotional dependency. She's not running away. She's stepping into her wisdom. When she stops explaining herself, it's because she's realized something profound. No amount of words can convince someone committed to misunderstanding her. So she lets her silence say what words no longer can. And yes, silence can be unintentionally funny, because nothing humbles a person faster than typing a 3-paragraph message and seeing seen. That tiny word has ended more emotional wars than philosophy ever could. So don't see her silence as avoidance. See it as mastery. The Stoic way is to remain still when provoked, calm when tested, and silent when noise surrounds you. That's not detachment, it's divine discipline. Number 8, silence and emotional maturity. There's a moment in every mature person's life when they realize that not every truth needs to be spoken. That's emotional evolution. The Stoics called it wisdom, and when she goes silent, it's often because she's reached that point. She's done explaining to those who listen only to reply. Silence is emotional maturity in motion. It's realizing that arguing with someone stuck in their ego is like trying to teach philosophy to a storm. It won't hear you until it's calm. So she stays quiet, not out of fear, but because her peace matters more than her point. This kind of silence has depth. It's not cold or cruel, it's centered. It says, I choose to protect my peace over proving my perspective. That's the essence of Stoic strength. Emotional control disguised as quiet distance. And let's be honest, sometimes silence is just practical. Why waste energy explaining yourself to someone who already made up their mind? That's like trying to charge your phone with a broken cable. You'll only drain yourself. Her silence, then, is not the end of communication. It's the beginning of emotional intelligence. It's where wisdom starts speaking louder than emotion. Number 9, when silence teaches what words couldn't. Sometimes, the silence you fear is the lesson you needed. Stoicism teaches that pain becomes wisdom when you stop resisting it. Her silence is that kind of pain. It's not there to punish, but to purify, to wake you up to what words couldn't make you see. Before she went silent, she probably warned you, not with threats, but with tone, with patience, with effort. But when people don't listen, silence becomes the final teacher. It's the Stoic version of, I'm done explaining myself. It's in that silence you start realizing what mattered. You start seeing the value of presence, the weight of words, the fragility of peace. The silence that once hurt you becomes the silence that transforms you. And ironically, silence can be a little poetic too, because one day, the same silence that broke you becomes the silence that builds you. You stop seeking her voice and start listening to your own. In Stoicism, wisdom often comes wrapped in quiet moments. Her silence might be painful now, but it's shaping the kind of strength you'll need for the rest of your life. Number 10, the final lesson, how to respond to her silence like a Stoic. The real test isn't why she went silent. It's how you respond to it. That's where Stoicism steps in. When silence enters your life, you have two choices, panic or practice presence. The Stoic path is the latter. Instead of begging for attention, you learn to build your attention inward. You stop chasing validation and start cultivating value. Her silence teaches you self-mastery, the art of not needing what you want. That's emotional freedom. Epictetus said, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Her silence isn't what hurts, it's your attachment to control. When you finally accept that, peace begins. You realize you can't force connection. You can only become worthy of it. Humor keeps us humble, because when you think about it, we all look a bit foolish begging for texts from people who taught us through silence what no speech ever could. Stoicism would tell you, learn, laugh, and let go. So, how do you respond to her silence? You do what the Stoics did. You turn inward, you grow stronger, and you stay silent too. Not to mirror her, but to master yourself. Because the most powerful silence is not the one that ends a connection, but the one that begins your transformation.